Hi, I wanted to talk today about seeing spirits, getting messages, getting signs, and some people needing to find out what it all means. So I'm trying to cover a lot of topics on that subject. For me personally, because I have done this my entire life and I've always seen energy around me, I've always seen spirits coming in and out of the home. I've never felt the need to ask them who they are and why are they here. I treat them as like I would if I was walking in a crowd of physical people and walking past people. I wouldn't stop and say, what are you doing here, and what's your name? And I treat spirit energy that's coming and going in my house exactly the same as I treat physical energy. It just passes by me, it's here, we're engaging for a moment, and then we're gone. I don't feel the need to, what are you doing here? What's your name? What's this about? I allow them, the spirit energy, to come to me when they're ready, when they're ready to open up that communication channel, I'm ready. I don't force questions upon them. Whereas I know a lot of other people, when they have a spirit energy in their house, they have to know who it is, what's it there for? Like, what am I meant to know? What's the message behind it? And they turn it into quite a drama, which in their normal waking life, they may be the types of people that not need to know the answers to absolutely everything as well. If you notice children that are playing, they're out in the sandpit or they're playing in their room and they're sitting there talking to a spirit energy, they never ask them to leave and they don't ask them what are they doing there. They just blend their energy together. It's a natural thing to be part of the physical and the non-physical at the same time. So it's up to you. I'm not telling you which way to go. Me personally, I don't need to ask what they're here for. I usually get I get them in my home just before I'm going to do a reading. So anyone in my home, they've all been brought up with this, the kids and even the kids' partners now that are in my home, they're so used to seeing spirits. It's just matter of fact. It's kind of like, oh, there's a lady over there. And that's it. That's all they say. There's a lady over there. And most of the people see exactly the same thing. They probably, she's here because I'm about to do a reading for somebody in the next couple of days, and that's their grandmother or that's their auntie or their best friend that's here. They've come here and they're just waiting for their relative to contact me, and then we can do the exchange, and then they're gone again. And I have one that's in my house. He comes and goes. He comes and goes. Um, I've never really. We all see him. He's like a male, and he wears a blue shearer's singlet, and he's only in his early 20s, and he sort of comes into our area, and then he goes again. And I know my youngest son. He I had an ectopic pregnancy when he was about 18 months old. So I've got 5 children, but I actually had 6. So I had another pregnancy after him, and that one died. And he, without me ever saying anything, he's always said, oh, I had another brother, but he chose to stay on the other side. He didn't choose to come here. And he's always connected with that other brother in spirit form. And it's totally natural to him. So you'll find kids do that. It's natural. Another thing I get asked a lot is when people see repetitive numbers or what they do is they ask for a sign, like they're thinking about something and they need some kind of clarification. Am I on the right track? Is this the right decision? It's kind of like they're not really sure themselves if this is a right decision. So they're asking for help from their guides, from their relatives that have passed over. Can someone out there help me to see if this is a good thing to do? And they ask for what's called a sign. Just give me a sign. Give me any kind of sign. So then they might see 11:11 on the clock, or they may see a feather, or they may see the name of something written on the number plate of a car, or there'll be something that gives them that sign. And then when they've got the sign, they're like, well, what does that mean? Like, what does the sign mean? Because you've got to be really, really specific. You've got to be very, very clear and specific on what you're wanting to know. So don't just say, I want a sign, because you'll get one. Ask a very specific question like, I want to take this action. If I see a sign, I will know that is the right action. Then when you see the sign, there you've got your answer. That's the right action to take. Be specific in the way that you ask. Don't just say, I just want a sign, because you get one and then you would still be going, but what does that mean? What's that supposed to mean? I don't ask for signs. I trust. So I will say, I'm not sure if this is the right direction to go in, but I'm going to leave it up to the universe. And if everything starts unfolding and it's flowing, I will know that is the right direction. And I'll keep going. I'll keep pushing myself in that direction. If it's not the right direction, there will be blocks and delays, and my gut instinct will be telling me something. So then I'll just let it go. I kind of like make a decision and then I let it go. And when it just comes to me and it flows, I know that that's the right direction. If I've ever tried to force things, and I know in the past I have forced things to happen, they didn't turn out that great. I got some massive lessons from them, which is a blessing, but they didn't turn out, they didn't flow, and everything was delayed. And so it was a direction that my ego was pushing me to go in. It turned out, I always turn around, I came back to where I was supposed to be, and I learned a lot during that time. But then I thought, yeah, I wasn't really listening to my intuition, was I? I was just going with what I thought I needed. So another thing is, like I saw this guy once. This is about stepping over the mark and whether or not you're supposed to interfere in a spirit or interfere in someone else's life with their spirit. So what I'm just meaning here is, I once, this is years ago, I was walking and I was walking past a cemetery, and there was a man sitting at the cemetery, at the grave, and he was talking. And I could see the spirit of his wife. I knew it was his wife without ever going over to I didn't know who he was. I didn't know what the grave said on it. I couldn't hear anything he was saying, but I saw the spirit of his wife standing behind him with her hand on his shoulder. And he was talking to the grave. Now, I could have walked over to him and said, she's right there behind you. She's right with you. You don't need to talk to the gravestone. But I didn't. I just looked over and smiled and kept walking, because that's none of my business to interrupt what his belief is. If he believed it was right for him to go to the cemetery and sit with his wife, and that's where he felt she was, then who am I to destroy that belief of his? And it's the same as when I read comments. I'll be reading through Facebook, and someone has lost a member of their family, and the comments, I'm so sorry for your loss. And I read people say, oh, they're smiling down on you. And I say, I know, everyone's got their own belief system. And because I have actually died and seen what it's like on the other side and then come back, I know it's totally different than what most people believe. But I'm not going to comment on there and tell somebody who's in the grieving process that, oh, it's fine. They haven't gone anywhere. They're right here next to you. Because at that time, they have to go through those grieving processes. It's not my business to tell somebody else how to grieve. Or I know people try to bring comfort to other people, and their intention behind it is to bring comfort to them, but I believe to just let them go through whatever they want. If I came along and said, your relatives didn't go anywhere, they're right here, like we are in these two worlds where we've got the physical and the non-physical, and they're working together all the time. We're just passing each other. And the circle of life just keeps going around and around. If I said that to someone, I might really upset them because they don't want to hear that. They want to believe that their loved one is in a heavenly place with a God, with all the relatives that passed before them. If that's what they want to believe, I'm not going to be the one to step in and destroy that belief. They ask me, if someone comes to me and asks me, I really want to connect with someone who's passed over and I really want to know if they're happy, that's when I will, because they've given me the permission, that's when I will tell them the way that, their relative wants them to see it. You've got to wait till the other person is ready before you put your views onto somebody. So, I can talk. This is my page, my channel. I can say how I see things, and you can choose whether to understand it, have a more of an open mind, not agree with it. That's entirely your choice. You see things how you want to see things. And I'm explaining things how I see them. And I am so grateful that I went through that experience of dying to see. It's changed my life in so many ways because I just see things on a whole different level. Half the stuff doesn't even matter anymore. Like the things that I used to stress about before, it's like, that doesn't even matter anymore. It's so liberating and freeing to see what happens to the spirit. And there is no fear. I never had a fear of death, but I used to have a fear of, when my children were little, I had a fear of dying, not because of my fear. I had a fear of leaving them and obviously not wanting my children to have to go through the grieving process. That's my protective motherly instinct of not wanting to see other family members have to grieve and go through a hard time if I left. But it wasn't a fear of me dying, it was a fear for them. And of course, when they get older and you see that they've got their own lives and they're all set up and you know that they're going to cope, the fear does go away because they're older. Your role as a mother is to bring up your children in the eyes of your belief. So going away from them through death is what scared me back then, but it doesn't scare me now. I know a lot of parents have this overwhelming fear that they will lose a child. So if you've gone through that, oh my God, I've just got this new little life, and what if I'm not here? What if I'm not doing a good enough job? What if something happens, where I lose them? That's perfect. I'm letting you know that's perfectly normal. A lot of people go through those emotions with their children. So, sorry, I just kicked the stool. Yeah, so I know. I think the world of the physical and the non-physical is just, we're all working together. They pass in and out here like they live here. I quite often just go, hey, most of the time when I see them, I'll just go, hi, I saw you. And that's it. I don't have to stop and unless they really need to tell me something. And then it's usually when I'm doing the vacuuming or doing the dishes and I'm just in my little zone, and that's when I hear they'll be telling me something. But not always. I don't have to do anything about it. I'm just getting told something, and then I also get like lots of names given to me in the middle of the night when I'm asleep. I wake up and I'll get a full name, like the full name of somebody. I got one the other night. I can't remember what it was now. And I'll write them down, and then I just leave it because I don't know anybody with that name, but I'll just leave it written down because somewhere along the line that person's name will come into my present life, either as a message for somebody or as someone I'm going to meet. So, yeah, don't get so caught up in what does the sign mean. And if you're asking for a sign or you're asking, be specific. Like when you ask the question, be very, very specific and sort of put it like, so that when you get the sign, you know you've got a direct answer because of the way you worded the question. So I think there's a lot more people seeing. There's a lot more people at the moment seeing a lot more energies and um, getting messages. Um, Another thing is if I get messages, if I get a vision about somebody, I don't tell them unless they ask me. And that was just something I learned years ago from my my guide teacher Elaine. Um, I remember she was so determined that everybody that was in that meditation class, because we were opening up with a lot of our deepest feelings, nobody was allowed to go out of that class and talk about what happened. It was very, very confidential. It's the same when I do readings. I don't discuss a reading with anybody. What comes through for somebody is between me, the energy between me and the client. It's I don't then go and say, oh, this tell somebody else what happened. It's nobody else's business. It's just that energy exchange. So if I happen to get a vision about somebody, which I have many, many times, especially with one where I did see, I thought it was the lady who was going to pass away. Like she was standing near me, and I was knew her really well, and I thought she was going to have a heart attack. But I didn't say anything because what am I going to do? I'm not going to stop it. It's going to happen. Anyway, she went home that night, and her husband, when she got home, there was ambulances at the house, and her husband had the heart attack, and he died. So it wasn't her. But what would be the point in me telling her what I just saw? What, to upset her again before she's going to go home and get upset? Like a lot of it, you've got to really control your own ego, um, and not sort of alarm other people and upset other people, because it is a precious gift. It is sacred to be able to have that connection on that level of energy. So treat it as such. So I actually made a PowerPoint presentation the other day and upgraded all my predictions, and my computer decided to totally wipe out the PowerPoint, and I don't have any of it. It's all gone. It all got wiped off my computer. So I took that as a sign that just wait, I'm not meant to share that with you as just yet. So for some reason. Anyway, hope that helps you understand a little bit more about signs and not having to know all the time why spirits are around you. We're just walking past each other in the physical and the non-physical. And I hope everyone has a lovely day.